Coming up, we have a very fun episode ahead. We're going to be talking about Easter eggs that haven't been cracked yet. Happy Easter, everyone. This is the Sacred Rewatch. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Illuminati Takeover of the Sacred Rewatch, brought to you by Effortless Expeditions, the Disney Center travel agency, here to help you plan your next Disney vacation. Contact us today for a free, no-obligation quote. Wherever the destination is, they make it truly effortless. I'm your host, Ethan Bronson, and today I'm joined by a much smaller group today. We've got the Sacred Rewatch's Illuminati here. This group I handpicked as the more knowledgeable bunch. As we get talking, you'll understand why. But before I introduce everyone, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. If you are joining us for our recap episodes where you're watching the MCU for the very first time, this may not be the episode for you. So we're going to be jumping quite a bit ahead. Now that we've covered that, I'm joined by Wyatt.
What's going on, guys?
Brendan.
Whoop, whoop.
And lastly, Brody.
What's up?
Happy Easter, you guys. How are you treating your celebration today?
Happy Easter, man.
Oh,
Just
it's
crank
a
some
wonderful,
jello eggs.
beautiful Easter Sunday.
Going
I just
great.
got done going on an Easter egg hunt myself, actually. You know, family's cooking a honey ham. Huge dinner. The whole family's over. It should be a beautiful night tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. Really excited
Hey,
for
why?
this Easter.
What are they putting in eggs these days? What are they putting in eggs in 2025?
Oh, dude. Twix bars, Baby Ruths, you know, the usual. Smarties. Shooters, Fireball, you know, Tito's.
Yeah.
I found some Crystal in one of them. That was a little weird. I'm not too sure who snuck that in there, but that was a little weird.
All right, well, as we get into it, we are going to be talking about Easter eggs that Marvel has hinted at but have not yet been cracked or released yet. So I'm going to introduce, I've got a lot of Easter eggs. As we all know, Marvel has dropped a lot of stuff on us that have not came to fruition. If you're like myself, I'm very disappointed. So some of this conversation may get a little heated on this Easter evening, but bear with us. So I've got about 14. We'll see if I get through them all. The first one I'm going to introduce is the one that I proposed to you guys as an idea for this episode. One last thing, though. As I introduce each one, we're going to talk about what we were thinking when they introduced it in the movie or project, what project we think it's going to be related to in the future, if it's going to have its own project or if it's going to be related to another one, and do we truly think they're ever going to bring it back? Because some of these are going back several years. Some of these are approaching a decade old at this point. So, the first one, Aaron Davis, the Prowler. So this is going back to Spider-Man Homecoming. Donald Glover plays Aaron Davis, small-time criminal whose name drops his nephew, strongly implying Miles Morales. Spider-Man has a scene in the parking garage, and Donald Glover's character says, "I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who lives here." He says his exact line. Since then, absolutely no mention of him. Not in Far From Home, not in No Way Home. But I will say, in the animated, was that?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
We had a live action one, which was super cool to see. But since then, we have not had any MCU mention of him. So I'll ask you this, and I also want you to think about the question, do we ever think Miles Morales himself will be in the MCU as well?
Wait, what are we supposed to answer
I
first?
feel like
Brendan?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of on ice for now. And them putting it in Across the Spider-Verse tells me that there wasn't anything in the immediate plans to bring him in. It kind of felt just more like a fun Easter egg, a fun kind of callback to that. What I think's more likely is at some point when Tom Holland's aged up, and assuming they don't do a soft reboot of the whole universe, I could see them bringing in Miles. You know, it was kind of like, I mean, they said that Peter Parker was the little kid from Iron Man 2, and then we didn't see him for another 7 or 8 years. I could see them doing that for Miles, but with 10 to 12 years between projects.
Brody, Wyatt?
I don't think we ever see, as cool as it would be to see Miles Morales in the MCU, I don't think he's owned by Sony, and I just don't ever see them doing the work that's required to get Miles Morales. Because look at all like the the trouble it's been to keep Spider-Man. Every Spider-Man movie, you never know if there's another one because there's always that rumor that he's going to go back to Sony. And with the success of their own Miles Morales universe, which is already hinted at being connected to the MCU with that throwaway line that what's his name? Spider-Man 2099 says at the very beginning, referencing No Way Home. I just don't see them ever wanting to really work with MCU when they've already kind of established Miles Morales as what I see Sony's Spider-Man. Like Peter Parker's our MCU Spider-Man. Sony has Miles Morales. He's their Spider-Man. So I don't really ever see them wanting to really let the MCU kind of take that away from them.
Well, and I think
as cool as it would be.
Yeah, 100%. But especially since, like you're saying, those are Sony's movies, right? Even though the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies that are in the MCU are still produced by Sony, those are still a collaboration between Marvel Studios and Sony. But you look at the animated Spider-Man movies with Miles Morales, that is completely Sony's projects. But you have to look at everything else Sony has done up to this point. Venom, semi-successful. Madam Web, big flop. Morbius, big flop. Craven the Hunter just came out. Big flop.
Craven!
Right? Those have lost a ton of money, right? There's all this potential for it to happen, to make a ton of money for their, Spider-Man universe, and they have not done any of it. So I feel like with the Tom Holland stuff, they've kind of dug themselves in this hole that they have to give the rights continually to Marvel Studios because that's what the fans want. The fans will be severely pissed if they don't give them the rights.
But also, Ethan, I'm thinking about it now, and I actually think No Way Home, the way they conclude it, was Marvel also trying to kind of get out of a bind of having to go to Sony and be dependent on Sony to get those rights. Because at the end of the movie, they go, okay, nobody knows who Peter Parker is anymore. And so then that kind of means that if stuff fell through, they could move on with all the projects and go without mention of Peter Parker because nobody knows who he is. So I almost feel like Marvel did a bit of a soft exit on MCU Spider-Man in case the legal stuff just fell through.
Well, but here's the thing. Spider-Man 4 is confirmed.
I know. But I think
he's saying is like if they couldn't ever
how successful he is, they would announce up to like 6 movies if they could. Or at least involvement in crossovers, I think.
Yeah.
The only way, this is what
agree.
I could see happening for Miles Morales in the future. I could see, let's say Secret Wars comes around, or it's an incursion event. The only thing I could see of ever seeing Miles Morales again is there's some reference where someone's like, oh, back on my Earth, our Spider-Man was killed. And we somehow see it was Miles Morales. Like I see a newspaper article or something referencing that on that Earth, Miles Morales was Spider-Man. That's the closest we'll see in a Marvel movie, I feel like, if we ever see it at all, which again, I don't think we have. And do you guys actually know that Donald Glover was the inspiration for Miles there being an African-American Spider-Man in general? Back in Community,
really?
one of Donald Glover... Yeah, back in Community, one of Donald Glover's first shows, there's a scene of him wearing a Spider-Man shirt, and they got like really popular, like a meme, and he was like, yeah, I think it'd be really cool if there'd be a black Spider-Man. And like when they were... they wanted him to have the role, but by the time they finally got around to like there being a show, he was obviously way too old for it. I think he voices him in. Yeah, he voices him in. I think it's the Amazing Spider-Man, right? The one I talked about last episode.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I love Donald Glover.
That must have been a while ago because they premiered Miles Morales in 2011. I thought
it was a very long time ago. I'm gonna look up when Community came out.
In the Amazing Spider-Man, it's when they were doing the casting for the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So people were saying that they should try Donald Glover because he was on Community, like playing like a nerdy kind of character at the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that campaign started. And it might have started before he wore the shirt, and he wore the shirt on Community, like to show that he knows like what's going on. Yeah. But it was because of the casting going on at that time for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. You know?
I like that.
Yeah, wait, Brad, when did you say Miles Morales debuted? Sorry to interrupt,
2011, I thought. It was in the what was it called? It was an alternate universe.
It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate universe. It was the ultimate Spider-Man, right?
They were called the Ultimates. Yeah.
Yeah, it was according to Google AI. May 2010 is when fans started starting the whole Donald Glover for Spider-Man campaign.
Yeah.
So that would check out timeline wise. That would check out.
That'd be cool. I wish, but I just feel like Donald Glover projects are cursed because the Lando movies been up in the air for 5 years. So it's
comics.
I just never know.
It was August 2011, so that's a pretty quick turnaround. I feel from them kind of starting that campaign.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely it had to been in the works already. There's no way they hadn't talked about there being another Spider-Man who wasn't Peter Parker.
Well, there's always been other Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know. There's always
freaking pig. We just hadn't had a black one yet. So that's
okay.
interesting.
One last, we're kind of getting off the rails here, but I have another question to ask because I am interested. Was this AI or did I see something about a Spider-Man noir film with Nicolas Cage actually happening?
That's already
that's real.
Been filmed.
That's real.
That's already been filmed.
Yeah.
I think it's a series.
Yeah, that's real.
It's a series. I don't know what it's going to stream on.
Fascinating to watch.
But they said it's going to have a version in black and white. And I'm like, why wouldn't the original version be black and white?
He's got to be over 60.
He's old.
Yeah.
Is it animated?
That's what they did with Werewolf by Night. I loved that it was.
Werewolf by Night was good.
Right? But then
Werewolf by Night was really good.
WandaVision. People love the black and white.
I know, but a year following when Werewolf by Night had its 1 year anniversary, they released an in color version, which I feel like kind of took away from that black and white.
It took away from the whole point of what made it so cool.
That's like if they did WandaVision, the first episode, in color. It's that's not the whole point of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it sounds like yes or no. Let's go around the table and give a yes or no. And if yes, what project? Theoretically.
I'll go first. I say yes, but nothing more than another reference. And to me, it's either Spider-Man 4 or Secret Wars, and it's nothing more than there used to be this Spider-Man variant. He's dead now. You'll never see him. Stop asking for him. Stop getting ready to see him. It's not going to happen type stuff.
Brody, Brendan?
I feel like we're going to get it. I feel like we're going to get references to it soon, actually, because I feel like they're starting another trilogy for Spider-Man, even if they don't get all the movies. I feel like they know they have to keep people interested, and also since nobody knows Spider-Man, he has to meet new characters. You can obviously have his dad as a police officer and involve him that way, or they already had Feast and stuff, so there's many ways to include him. But I feel like they'll just hint at something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to keep people interested.
I'm gonna say no. Miles Morales is the only thing Sony's gotten right, and I think it's gonna be hard for them to give him up.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
If Marvel had full legal control, I think we would have already seen him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
it would have been Spider-Man 2.
Not have Tom Holland back, I think they probably would have ended it. But that's the only thing they have. We could have this Sony Spider-Man conversation for hours. I plan on doing another episode related to this. My final thoughts on this one. I'm gonna say yes, but I don't think it's in the multiverse saga. I think it's gonna be after Secret Wars. We're gonna have some type of reconciliation with characters. I think when the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige have been writing this 2 Avengers movie, they have realized they have way too many damn characters going on. And as much as I love it for headcanon, right? It's too much to deal with. There's so many projects they could have made, and projects that they made that probably regret making for characters, right? So I do think it will happen. I think it'll be after Secret Wars, so it'll probably be early 2030s when we see Miles Morales in the MCU. But we move on.
That's kind of just one final thought. That's kind of what those major events in comic books are supposed to be. Whenever a comic universe gets too bloated and just storylines everywhere that nobody can keep track of, they'll do one of these massive events that just soft
an incursion
the whole universe. That's what Crisis on Infinite Earths is in DC. That's what New 52 was off of Flashpoint. You know, that's what actually I think in the comics, if I'm right, that's what Secret Wars did too. So like,
yeah, it's when the Ultimates join. It's
condense.
because of the incursion.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people die in Secret Wars or disappear or gone forever type stuff.
100%. Next up,
or just simply are never heard of again. Like get Captain America type endings. He's gone. He retired. Forget about him. You just have to type stuff. Move on.
All right. We're moving on. The next one. Shang-Chi's 10 Rings Beacon. So in the post-credits scene of Shang-Chi, Wong, Bruce Banner, and Captain Marvel examine the 10 rings. They say the rings are not made from vibranium, not Chitauri. That is the exact line. And that they're emitting a signal. Where is the beacon? Or where is the beacon going? Who made the rings? Shang-Chi was made in 2021, so we're about 4 years now since that movie's come out. No answer. What are your guys' thoughts when you guys saw that in theaters? There's a lot of drama now, too, especially since 2021. We weren't supposed to have Avengers Doomsday. We were supposed to have Avengers Kang Dynasty. So I open the floor to you guys.
This is coming back.
Didn't something just get released that was like had strong connections to tie back to the Shang-Chi end credit scene? Like something having to do with collecting artifacts or something like that?
Not that I'm aware of. Brody, Brendan, any idea?
I don't know, dude. I thought I saw that the other day.
We're getting the director back. So, like, I'd say that's a pretty good chance. Is like he could include it somehow, because he's directing the next Spider-Man movie.
Well, so the reason I brought that up because wasn't King Dynasty originally supposed to be directed by Daniel Cretton? Was that his name?
I think so. He was in the lineup. He was supposed to be doing it, I think, for a while, actually.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about this, though, is I think there's several factors. There's the Kang transition to Doctor Doom, and then there's also we have not had a Shang-Chi officially announced. Obviously, Simu Liu has said that a movie's coming, but is it going to fall in between? I mean, it has to fall in between Doomsday and Secret Wars at this point. It'd be too late to announce something and shoot it all before Doomsday comes out. Which I also think the Spider-Man movie is supposed to happen between those movies. When this first happened, I thought it was Kang. I thought it had more to do with the Celestials, but we have not heard a damn thing about the Celestials since. So I don't know. After seeing the new Captain America movie, they may be made out of adamantium, but there's obviously some power connected to it on top of just adamantium. So I don't know.
I don't even know where to begin on this one. Like, it's so in the dark. It's not even like it could be anything. It could be Galactus. Like, it obviously it's not Galactus. Yeah. But like, it could be anything. They didn't really. I was thinking. Yeah. I mean, the only thing we see close to it in the MCU is Miss Marvel's armbands.
The bangles.
Like like maybe there's a connection there. It could be. I don't know. Is Shang-Chi supposed to be in?
Yeah, he was on the cast list.
He was on the chairs.
That's why I feel like it. So I feel like it might connect because they got to introduce him somehow. And besides his one-off interaction with Wong, he really doesn't have any connections. Nobody has his contact besides Wong. You know, nobody knows who this guy is.
Yeah. That can just be his intro scene too, in like Secret Wars or something. Like that's what he was doing. You know what I mean? He was seeing what that was. Or
the major threat is introduced through him. So it's like we first meet Doom because Doom comes through this thing and Shang-Chi's tracking it and he just gets, stomped by Doom and then it moves on to the next.
Like the opening of Infinity War, yeah.
Yeah. I
can totally see that.
And I also think it's so vague that they don't say what it is. That may be how the Russos kind of weave their way into making it kind of all fit together.
Yeah. Like it all could be. They may not even know what it is. It could just be a MacGuffin. Like this is an empty plot line to throw something in there if we don't know how to introduce something.
Yeah.
But this is definitely 100%. One of those ones where without there being a Shang-Chi 2, I don't see this ever being like answered. I don't see them using the end credit scene for Shang-Chi that hasn't been answered in at the time 15 years to have any relevance in Secret Wars or Doomsday at all. But that's the only real time I could see them doing it outside of a Shang-Chi 2 for sure.
Do you think I know you kind of already answered this, but I'll open this up to all you guys. Do you think we'll get any inclination from Fantastic Four since it is coming from a different universe?
About the 10 Rings or about
this beacon?
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be the antagonist that brings the universes together, not the protagonists.
Yeah.
I agree. It's going to be Doom.
I could see that. And I feel like that would have been too early.
I do also think, I actually disagree with what I just said. I think the way we find out about the other Earth is it's the Fantastic Four jumping ship at the end of their movie as their Earth gets devoured. And it's going to be... It's going to be similar to like when Hulk smashes into Strange's house and he's coming, Thanos is coming. The Fantastic Four is going to show up and I don't know who. They're going to bump into someone, hopefully Spider-Man because of his ties to Fantastic Four in general. But they're going to bump into someone.
Wouldn't that be great if we got a bagged head Spider-Man?
The bombastic Bagman, because no one knows who Peter Parker is. So now he's a bombastic Bagman.
Do we have confirmed that we would have RDJ and Fantastic Four's Doom, or no?
No, not confirmed.
We have no idea.
Because we have Galactus in that movie.
Yeah, we don't know if there's a Doom.
I would say it's
at all. No
heavily likely, though. I'm
looking at the cast, and they only have 6 named characters in the cast. They have
there's more. Getting the Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic. Oh, Silver Surfer's a chick. Galactus and the Thing.
I think we see RDJ's Von Doom, but he's not like in the movie. Like I think it's not the traditional he's on this spaceship with them. I think this is how it goes. I know this is not the Fantastic Four episode, but this is what I think it goes real fast. Pedro Pascal or Mr. Fantastic, let's say he works at wherever he works. Maybe he's teaching in a university or he's just working in the Baxter building or whatever. He somehow is a coworker of RDJ. They're friends. It's the traditional Von Doom and Mr. Fantastic storyline. Mr. Fantastic and everyone else, their usuals, go up in space, hit with the space energy, come down. They're all messed up from the other powers and all that. And then as we've seen in the trailers, the Fantastic Four in this universe are very popular and famous. There are no Avengers. There are no superheroes. It is just them. There's that 4-second clip that came out yesterday where Joseph Quinn is holding a cereal box and the Human Torch is on the Lucky Charms cereal box. They are big-time celebrities. I think Von Doom then has this sort of, traditional like, oh, I'm so jealous. You got all the glory. You got that. I'm going to go to this. Now look at me. I'm evil Victor Von Doom. I look like an animal monster. I'm evil. Sokovia, whatever his is called.
Latveria.
Thank you.
Important.
So no, I don't think we see Shang-Chi in the future.
Okay. All right, Brody, what do you think?
I think it would have to be in like the next few projects. Like it would have to be pretty soon.
Yeah. Brendan?
Yeah, I think it's Doomsday or nothing. If it doesn't come up in the first 10 minutes of runtime in Doomsday, it's not happening.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think if Kang was still tied to this project, we would have already found out.
Sure.
I think it could have been Kang.
I think it was 100% Kang. And I think, honestly, we probably would have had the answer at the end of Loki Season 2. But
probably.
I think Kang was going to have some sort of like
heavy rewrites for the finale of Loki Season 2. Heavy rewrites.
I think Kang was going to be like coming after these very strong artifacts in different universes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi's bangles or Shang-Chi's bracelets, her bangles, Thor's whatever. Marvel, just various important artifacts, of weapons. Because, he's Kang the Conqueror. But
let's hope we do get Shang-Chi back in a strong showing, not just like a cameo where he gets beheaded by Doomsday. Like he probably was the strongest solo project of Phase 4 by being a new character.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think it's
new
better
character,
than Moon Knight
100%,
as a new character. And I really hope they don't cast him away because he was great.
No, he's good. I liked what he did.
This is the last thought I'll give on this Shang-Chi thing. I do think he's going to be heavily featured in Doomsday because last time I heard, when King Dynasty was still happening, he was supposed to be the lead, like the guy, which I thought was kind of interesting because we have not seen him once,
do remember,
even as a cameo. But I'm not upset about it. And lastly, I don't think we're going to see the beacon or find out what it is, and it's going to really piss me off because it's one of the true things that could have tied so much together, and it has not done anything. So we move on. The next one. This one's not open-ended. It's kind of close-ended, really, because this has to do with the Infinity Saga. Xandar's destruction. Infinity. Thanos destroys Xandar to get the Power Stone before the events of Infinity War, but we never see it. It's the home of the Nova Corps, and fans expected this to lead to a Nova project, which I thought was announced already, but I guess not, or it's not happening anymore. So years later, bring us to 2025. No Nova, no Xandar, no flashback, and still no official explanation. Thoughts?
We will see this again as the official opening for the Nova TV show that they will announce eventually. It has to. It has to. Nova Prime. I need to see it. Dude, if we don't see, you can't just destroy Xandar and be, oh yeah, Nova Prime died. You'll never see him. He's dead. He just died off screen. Yep, he's dead. Sorry.
I think,
dude, why would you not show Thanos getting his first stone?
No.
I think it's just so dumb.
It happened off screen. It was badass.
I
thought it was good.
If you have to choose, good.
I think it would actually be cool to see. It would have been cool to see that Thanos destroying Xandar from the perspective of however the Nova show kicked off. Mm-hmm. To see that scene, because it was it would have just been fluff in Infinity War, but it would have been central to the plot of Nova, and that would have been badass to see from street view, the ship coming out of the sky, and then just
especially for the first time,
Yep.
Because as the way I look at it too is think about the snap. The first time we saw the snap, just unbelievable, truly unbelievable, right? Yeah. But every single time we've seen a variation of the snap happen to a singular character, obviously it doesn't hit the same. The first time though you see a revolutionary scene like that,
I think it's fire.
We're talking about it, but I still won't be able to believe it once I see it. If we'd ever do see it. Any other thoughts, Brody?
I forgot this happened. I completely forgot this ever happened in any of the stuff. So I just no comment. I forgot there was ever plans for Nova. I forgot there was ever any of this happening.
Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's almost as if they want. That's what they want to happen, Brody.
They did way back. What did you say, Wyatt?
It's almost like that's what Disney wants. They want you just to forget.
Well, I just rewatched the first Avenger over and over, so if it's not in that movie, I might forget it.
It also feels like this was maybe something that they pitched to James Gunn to throw into Guardians 3, and it seems like something that maybe he just said no to.
Hey, if you want.
Warlock.
Yeah, I think Adam Warlock was already plenty for a new intro. And Guardians 3
also
was
a Nova reference
way earlier. I know. When did it release? 22, and I think it was supposed to come out.
No, 23.
Endgame?
No, Guardians came out 23.
23. It was supposed to come out, I think, 2020 or 2019.
Well, and that's the thing though with the entirety of Phase 4. I mean, Spider-Man came out in December of 21, and Doctor Strange 2 came out in February or March of 22. It was actually supposed to be the other way around. Yep. Doctor Strange 2 was supposed to come out before. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if you guys have seen that concept art. The concept art of America Chavez with Spider-Man. So, I mean, a lot of stuff got messed up because of COVID, but very interesting. Yeah. Any other
There's
thoughts
also
on
a
this?
reference to Nova on Spider-Man Far From Home when Peter's picking his movies on the plane. There's a reference to Nova on one of the movie titles. It's called Nova.
You think we would have gotten Sam Alexander Nova,
So,
or we would have gotten the grown man?
I am
Grown
not
man.
familiar with comic book Nova variations, so will not give an answer.
Okay. There's like one variation where it's a kid. It's like a 13-year-old kid gets his hand on the Nova helmet.
That's the one who's in the Spider-Man show I keep referencing.
Drake Bell.
Everything ties back to the Amazing Spider-Man on Disney XD.
Everything ties back to Drake and Josh.
Was Nova ever on Guardians of the Galaxy? Is that like where he's from? I'm not familiar with that much.
He's definitely teamed up with them plenty of times in the comics.
Gotcha.
It's kind of where he's introduced.
Yeah, I think he definitely is a member of the team for a while. As much as I need to believe we will eventually, nope, not gonna happen.
I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think we missed the window. I think it's not happening.
Yeah.
I know, and
Agreed.
That's the bummer for me, is because this project that they would, theoretically release as a TV show doesn't have to tie to anything. They could release it years down the line. It'd be a nice slip in to the Infinity Saga. But I agree. I don't think we're ever going to see it. I think we probably should have seen it 3 years ago. Yeah. All right, we move on. And I think what's funny about some of these debates is it always goes back to behind the scenes stuff of either budget cuts, cancellations. This is a big one, and I think we're still in the midst of this. I don't know what's going to happen for this next one. Armor Wars setup, Skrull, Rhodey, Secret Invasion, all of that. We learned Rhodey was replaced by a Skrull for many, many years, maybe since Civil War. Secret Invasion ended without the showing us of the real Rhodey's full return or fallout. Not really an explanation of when it happened. Armor Wars last time is still in development, but then last time I heard that it was canceled, and then it was a movie, then it was a TV show, back to a movie. I think I saw Secret Invasion finale with you. You hadn't even watched Secret Invasion, and I'm not normally depressed about Marvel projects. I was depressed about Secret Invasion. I was so disappointed. We'll try to keep the Secret Invasion conversation contained, but thoughts on Rhodey, what's going on with the Armor Wars, all that.
So at the end of Secret Invasion, you don't find. I knew that you revealed that Rhodey's a Skrull. You don't know how long though. You don't find that out.
No.
Okay. I believe they want you to think it's Civil War. That's I believe we're supposed to think because it would make the most sense. The accident, all that. But I don't think they are gonna want to take away from Iron Man's death with Rhodey. I think they want that to be Rhodey, not a Skrull. That they'll make it post Endgame. That's what I think they'll end up doing. I don't know how they'll reveal it, but I think we'll find out that post Endgame he was switched for a Skrull. So what we see in he shows up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, correct?
Yes, first episode for 2 minutes.
Skrull, 100% Skrull.
Likely.
That's the first.
Likely.
And then everything in timeline canon wise from that point on was Skrull Rhodey, I believe. But I don't think we see this again because I don't think we see Skrulls again. I think it was such a. I gotta watch my language here. Awful reviewed and received show that they're not going to do a Secret Invasion season 2. It wasn't what everyone thought it was. I've never read the comic line for Secret Invasion, but what I believe it is you find out that for decades all these people have been Skrulls, and it's this huge reveal. Not the reveal that one person who was Iron Man's best friend happened to be a Skrull for a couple of months, and we just found out. Secret Invasion is supposed to be this huge event in the comics where these people realize that Captain America's been a Skrull for 10 years. Stuff like that. I think Marvel did such a bad job with it and it was so poorly received by the fans that they're not going to really expand on the Skrulls. It's not like people love the Captain Marvel movies. It's not like people didn't like Secret Invasion. I don't see them really continuing this storyline at all, and I don't see Marvel's not the type of they don't write storylines because it's the right thing to do. If Marvel isn't going to pursue the Secret Invasion storyline, they're not going to give you any clarification on when Rhodey was a Skrull or what he's doing next. And I think Armor Wars is in rewrite hell where it's just not going to happen. It's been canceled, rewrote. I remember when it came out, everyone thought it was going to be out John Bernthald's Punisher becoming War Machine. Which is cool as that would be. I think it's like, it's just not going to happen. It's like the Lando show, you know? You can't push a show back and change the plot 5 times and still have a quality content come out. It's just not going to happen. And no one wants to see it anymore. It got announced 10 years ago at this point. Okay, that's my rant. Sorry.
I think there are a couple examples of it making it through. Like Ant-Man actually is a really good example of something that had been in the works for years and years and years and actually did come out. But I think Wyatt's hitting the nail on the head. They're not going to keep pushing an IP that is bringing down the rest of their characters. Like Secret Invasion was so poorly received, and they got lucky with like how vague it is about who's just scrolling for how long, that they can just be like, well, it was a couple weeks or it was a couple months, and they can like forget about it. I think they're doing the same. We already saw them do this with Eternals. I mean, they kept the Celestial. I like that they went back on the Celestial for Brave New World or New World Order. Is it Brave New World?
I think it's Brave New World.
Yeah, Brave New World.
I agree, though. I think New World Order is a better title, but
yeah, they changed. I never remember they changed it from one to the other, but they totally just like, we're never gonna see Dane Whitman. We're never gonna see it.
Oh man,
we're not going to see it.
We're gonna save that one for the next Easter egg episode. I can't talk about it this episode.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna talk about Black Knight and all that stuff at the end right there.
No.
Okay.
We're not gonna talk about
the Midnight Suns. It's right there.
Finish your thought, Brendan. Finish your thoughts.
I just don't, at this point in the game, they're so successful as a company. I don't think that they're gonna try to fit a square peg in a round hole. And Secret Invasion was so bad. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get closure on this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
My final thoughts. The Secret Invasion as a whole makes me upset, because you have the scroll thing, which, yes, you can headcanon that they're scrolls. You'll never really find out who they are. It would be great, for me personally, the more carnage you create and the more nasty of like a sad or an upsetting story is, the better. If they went back and said that when Iron Man 2 was happening, that Rhodey became a Skrull then, so this whole time you've been falling in love with Rhodey, they just stabbed you in the back and said, nope, that is not the person you love. He's a Skrull, and he's been hiding the whole time. Do I think they're going to do that? No, I don't.
Not only is he a Skrull that's hiding the whole time, he's a Skrull that's hiding the whole time and isn't your friend. Like, it's not like, oh, he's still the same old Rhodey. No, he's a Skrull who is here to do bad things. Like, it shouldn't be at the end of the day, it's the same old Rhodey. It's the inside that counts.
And the other thing I'll add to it too is at the end of Secret Invasion, Nick Fury's wife, I can't remember her name, but they were talking about that they were going to have this grand meeting, right? And in the Marvels, they open up with the meeting and she's not there. So they didn't even plan for those projects to coincide when they were shooting together. So do I think it's ever going to come back? No. And also, another like side story of Secret Invasion, the whole thing with the president. We're already on to the new president after this last one, committed war acts against known people, and they just didn't talk about it. So no, I don't think they're ever going to revisit this, unfortunately. Another one. This one takes me back to my roots of the MCU, watching WandaVision for the first time. White Vision's disappearance. At the end of WandaVision, the Vision created by Wanda disappears, and White Vision, with all of Vision's memories, flies off. No one has seen or mentioned him since. Where is he? What is he doing? Huge unanswered plot. I want to say one thing before I open up the floor. I was fully convinced he was going to show up in Wakanda Forever. It made total sense, and it did not happen.
Okay. What I think about White Vision is, I think we are never going to see him again. And the reason I think we're never going to see him again is because, for the exact same reason that I think Scarlet Witch is dead. I don't think at the end of Multiverse of Madness, Scarlet Witch is supposed to be dead. But what I think is going to happen is we are never going to see that storyline progress whatsoever. So she is going to be unintentionally killed off by Marvel never once having the opportunity to expand on the Multiverse of Madness storyline. Like, we'll never see her come up again, because unless she just pops up out of nowhere in Secret Invasion, which, yes, is probably what will happen. It's Marvel. I don't think we see Vision show up for the same reason, where I don't think they know what to do with Scarlet Witch. I don't think they know how to bring her back after what I would consider negative reviews for Multiverse of Madness. Like, people didn't really like how that was ended. People didn't really like where they were going with her character. And the same thing we said about, I'm drawing a blank. What did we just talk about?
Brody or Secret Invasion?
Yes, Secret Invasion. It's not their number one priority right now is how do we bring back the Scarlet Witch. People didn't like Multiverse of Madness. It wasn't what they thought they were going to get. And how do you bring in White Vision? How do you bring in White Vision without having Scarlet Witch? Right? So I don't see, same thing I said I don't see it coming up, because I don't see them ever expanding the Multiverse of Madness storyline, and I think that needs to happen for Vision to come back. Because he quite literally just flew off into the sky, right?
They had Vision Quest, but I don't think that's happening. Every few months we get information about it, but it's the same. It would have been in Vision Quest, but other than that, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Also, I'm starting to think, after what Wyatt was saying, I think what Marvel has to figure out, they learned how to retire their characters well. They haven't figured out that when you retire a main character, you also need to retire all of their side characters with them, because otherwise they're floating around lingering, and then we don't know what to do with them. Like, when Steve goes off into the sunset, we got to have a plan for how we're going to deal with Sam, which they did. And like, Sam was able to continue into the next thing. But like, if we don't have I think I see Vision as a side character for Wanda through and through. Like, he doesn't have any other reason in the MCU other than to pushing Wanda's character arc. And now we got rid of Wanda. Well, we need to get rid of Vision too, because now we just have this loose piece kind of floating out there that the only reason we care about him is because we care about Wanda. And without her, I really don't want to see this anymore. And now it's just kind of a story inconsistency that it's an obstacle someone else has to get around.
I already didn't like the fact that Vision existed outside of Wanda's illusion. Because when I watched WandaVision, this may sound cruel, I really wanted it. I didn't like. Wanda, at the end of that, Wanda should have realized that how terrible the thing she did was for her family is not real. Her kids aren't there. There is no husband. All she did was torture these people. So I didn't like how the fact that he was even real in the first place was out there.
Yeah.
So I don't even really need to see Vision again. I was like what Brendan said exactly. All Vision was the emotional motivator for Wanda. It was the motivator for why she turns evil in the Multiverse of Madness / WandaVision. That's all he's there for.
And I thought it was
because what does he do outside of the MCU besides he's never even in a shot without Wanda outside of Age of Ultron.
Brady, did you have something you want to say?
I was going to say, I thought WandaVision was going to go the same route that Wyatt was thinking, where he was just going to not be there at the end, because they had those like flashes where he was like totally gray. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And that's like a scary twist, and it fit the show's vibe. And I think with all the White Vision stuff, they just like totally threw it off. And I don't think Vision Quest was ever gonna kick off. Like, it's like, I don't think that was a show that tons of people were amped for. A show just about Vision and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe as like an antagonist for Armor Wars or something, like something with technology. But I think overall that was a plot thread that they really did not need to add. And I think it was just like, oh, we need to set up something at the end of WandaVision. You know what I mean? Other than Multiverse of Madness, let's add another thread. And I think it just, like you're saying, we're running out of time to kind of fill these threads. So I think it's another one that they're just going to cut off.
Yeah.
What I also think happened to Marvel is you see it, and I mean, I mean, this is not a new take from anybody. I don't think Marvel really even grasped the concept that maybe the stuff they would make wouldn't be perfect. Like, they had this amazing run of, besides the obvious flaws, like maybe Thor: The Dark World and like I don't know. I can't even think of the other ones. Like the first Hulk, a couple misses, I would say, but not necessarily terribly flops or terrible, awful movies. They have this whole run of banger, awesome, the number one movie in the box office every time you release to your huge 22-year thing where people are yelling in the theaters. It's one of really the biggest theater events in theater history. Like no really people have come together that much for one single movie across the whole world. It's insane. And then all of a sudden you have all these loose ends. You're like, we'll do this storyline, this TV show, this movie. And then all of a sudden it's people start not liking it and your views start going down. And next thing you know, Ant-Man 3 is terrible and no one wants to watch it. And then you do, well, I have this storyline I created in my spin-off show about the third spin-off character that this person knows. And you realize no one wants to see a show about Bruce Banner's cousin's dog's adventure. And then Marvel, they don't know what to do with all these storylines because they're not really clicking. And they didn't really know what to do if that wouldn't happen. They never really prepped themselves for that idea. And all of a sudden they throw out 15 different storylines at once.
And we never saw the plan before Disney Plus. So like WandaVision, I don't know if that probably would have never happened because you can't really do that in a movie. You know what I mean? No. So like...
And you also get the vibe that Disney doesn't know if their shows are going to influence the movies or if they're not. Some stuff does, but then some stuff... it's like kind of they choose if convenient for the movie. Yeah. Well, like it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense for the TV show.
I think that's what bugs me about this whole thing that happened after Endgame, or really Far From Home, when Phase 3 ended. Phase 4 started, right? COVID messed things up. Projects were coming out of order that they did not intend. You have these projects like WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Shang-Chi, Black Widow. All these projects come out up to like Spider-Man No Way Home. It feels like Spider-Man No Way Home is very much a break to me from what was coming out. Yeah. Because you have all these movies that they needed to get out because COVID happened, right? You had almost a year really of no projects. And I think they saw that some of the shows that were coming out were not well received. So then you had this retreat. I don't know if you guys saw this, that Marvel Studios went on this retreat. It was like Kevin Feige and other head executives of Marvel trying to figure out what their grand plan was going to be for the multiverse saga, because people were not receiving it well. And do I think they had a grand plan of getting all these projects intertwined with the TV shows to the movies? Yes. Do I think COVID messed some of that up? Yes. Because let's take this for example. WandaVision, you remember the commercials, everybody, all the red string theories that were happening every week? Doctor Strange was supposed to show up.
I was saying he was supposed to be in it.
When WandaVision came out, or was supposed to come out, Doctor Strange was supposed to follow it immediately, and it didn't. So do I think there was a plan? Yes. Did COVID mess up a lot of it? Yes. But I don't like how they handled, let's just put these projects out here and not worry about the long-term plan of it. Because really, I mean, I can't give you an exact example, but multiverses in any like studios that have done, like, it is insanely hard to try to make a story that people care about. Because if
DC's been doing the multiverse for years in TV.
Yeah. And if you kill a character, you can just bring them in from a different universe. It doesn't hit the same as the Infinity Saga. When you kill somebody, they're not coming back, you know?
Yeah.
Brendan, you watched The Flash, right, Brendan?
Yep.
How many there was a new Harrison Wells every season. It was like literally the point of the show.
It so much.
It was like literally the point of the show was that every season this character would die, and at the start of the next season, out of a different Earth 18, a new one pops out, and he's just with them. Awesome. He's a whole different personality. It was like, it got so stupid. Could you stop caring when he dies? Because he would always die, and I don't care. He had to come back.
Ethan, I feel like when Marvel puts out. When you put out an end credit scene, that's a confident move. It's a really ballsy thing to do, because you're saying, I made this movie. I know it's going to be so good that I'm going to tell you that it's going to work for the next thing, you know? And I almost wish that in this phase that we would have done a mini phase 4 where they would just do minor street level character intros where they throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and put tiny references that they don't need to commit to at all, kind of similar to what they did in Iron Man 2 where they showed Wakanda on the map. They don't need to do anything with that. Like, that's not a commitment, but what is a commitment is when you watch the end of, what is it, Hawkeye, and Kamala just says what's up to Kate Bishop, and is like, I'm putting a team together. Like, now you're making a real commitment because you're saying, like, you put the two characters on screen together saying that they're going to do something in the future. And I think they just were too confident in themselves, thinking that whatever we put on the screen hits. And I think they should have toned back a little bit on all these Easter eggs, because we're talking about so many loose ends, and most of them are from this period from like 21 to 24.
Yeah. And this is the last thought I'll give on this White Vision thing. Wanda, pun intended maybe, was really the nexus of Phase 4, right? It was the first thing that came out, and it has all these great ideas. You have to think, it's got Wanda, references to Doctor Strange. You've got Vision, which a lot of people forget, was supposed to be the main idea of Armor Wars. That was what the whole project was supposed to be about, was Vision technology being in the hands of the government. Then it got moved to Vision Quest, right? And I also find it so funny that Vision Quest was rumored to come out way before this small TV show called Wonder Man, which I thought was never, ever going to get released. And it's coming out in December. So, no, I don't think Vision Quest is ever going to come out. Do we all feel the same way?
Back to the good old days. Going back to the good old days where your end credit scene was just a setup for the literal next movie. Like, at the end of Iron Man, Hulk shows up, and then we see Hulk. At the end of Hulk, Captain America shows up, and then we see Captain America.
But it's hard because the characters are now geographically so far apart that it's hard to say that, you know, Shang-Chi could have an end credit scene that points. I guess he could have for Eternals. He could have. It could have been something like he bumps in the one of the Eternals on the street or whatever, and then, like, that's a great, like, segue to the next movie.
But no, Ethan, I think White Vision's 100% gone. Never seen him again.
Yeah. All right. The next one. Actually, I'll ask you guys this. Do you want to continue on this WandaVision conversation or no? We'll move on to a different one.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's another WandaVision one, I think we should stick with that now.
I actually think that this alone got me into the MCU and the greater Marvel projects. This is why I got so excited about Doctor Strange, and I ended up watching all the X-Men movies before Doctor Strange.
Oh my god, dude.
Talking about Ralph Bohner and Evan Peters appear. It seemed like there was a big connection. Nothing really seemed to happen. They kind of said that, you know, Ralph Bohner was just this guy that happens to look like Quicksilver from the X-Men universe, but is really just this guy named Ralph Bohner. It seemed like a joke, and then I don't know if you guys have seen Agatha all along. He pops up again, like this guy that has like schizophrenia almost. He's like talking to himself, and still no inclination that this guy is from a different universe. He's just a normal dude that's played by Evan Peters, this giant actor. Seems like a random decision. So was it a joke? Soft tease? More X-Men crossover? My first thoughts, I would have said no. I just seemed like they were just trying to get clicks. But with all of these, I mean, not even rumors anymore, confirmed casting that half of the cast of Avengers Doomsday is X-Men characters, but Evan Peters not announced, seems quite weird. I open the floor.
The Ralph Bohner
They should have made
scenario.
good on this. This was great. This was great stuff. I wish they would have done it.
I consider
Brendan is visibly upset.
I consider this the most disrespected I've ever been as a fan of something in my entire fandom of nerd stuff my entire life. It was the middle finger to fans, is what this was. Because they knew what they were doing. There wasn't a single part of it that was like they knew, all it was to get people excited to then let them down with a stupid boner joke. Not only a boner joke about a character. It's not like they took Toad from X-Men 2003. They took the best character from the, I guess, mid 2000s X-Men franchise. Like
but
Evan Peters is so good in those movies.
Yeah, no, they were still cranking movies.
It's not like he shows up and Wanda's like, that's weird. Why do I recognize this guy? Why do I feel like I know this guy? He shows up and goes, hey sis, it's me, Quicksilver, from a different universe. How awesome is that? And then you're like, what? And then the kids he is Quicksilver for 3 episodes just for them to be like, nah, we're just messing with you.
And it would have been so easy that like in her like emotional like stress, she just brought him over. Like that's all the explanation.
It's right there.
Thinking about her family. There. Boom, he came over. But we could just say he's a Skrull, and it never happened.
Don't say that.
I get it.
Don't say
that. It is such a perfect. It is such a perfect entry for the multiverse, for the incursion, for the X-Men, for everything. It's right there. It is right. The whole point of Multiverse of Madness or WandaVision was to set up Multiverse of Madness, which is about what I thought was originally supposed to be the multiverse breaking and a little bit of crossover. It's right there, and they just chose to do a dick joke over it.
It should have just been from her like emotional state.
That was just a cold move. They made fun.
Maybe
Wyatt's right. They made fun of the audience for being invested. They're saying, "Oh, you thought this was gonna mean something more, idiot," and it's like, yeah, that's why it's such a big audience. Like you have people like us that are digging in and trying to find the connections. Don't make fun of us for trying to do that and being invested in your product.
And they did it with a character who had already pre-established and loved and been asking for. Like we really want to see like how are the X-Men going to fit into this?
The good old Luke Skywalker tossing a lightsaber. That's what that one was.
Yeah,
that's what that moment.
I mean,
was.
They even went as far as to give him the abilities of Quicksilver and look exactly the same, and give him the Halloween outfit. Like
his acting and chemistry in that show was so good too. Like
maybe I'm being a little harsh on it because I'm a big Quicksilver fan and I love Evan Peters. Like, Evan Peters is great in everything he touches. Like he's such a good casting as Quicksilver that it was like this moment where you're oh wow, like are we really? This is the X-Men, and I know Ethan can't really relate to it this much, and I know Brendan can. I grew up on the X-Men because the Avengers weren't popular. Marvel didn't own them; they weren't working. I grew up on the X-Men. I love the X-Men. All I ever wanted from Marvel was X-Men.
Hard.
So like I was so excited. I remember watching it with Jackson. We would watch it every night. I remember my heart dropping and these chills I got when you see the back of his head because you go, "Oh my god, that is Quicksilver." And then in 3 weeks from now, it just makes I just get so mad thinking about it. It's just so stupid.
And it got us too to stop. I feel like that was the beginning of. Well, I'm not really that invested in watching every little detail because now I know it may not pay out. It may not pay out. And that was kind of like, I remember when we were watching WandaVision, the first, 4 or 5 episodes, it was like every frame, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? This has to come up again. This has to come up again.
The red string theories were no joke. Legitimately, people were theorizing it all week.
What I'll say about WandaVision, how many episodes of WandaVision? Let's say it's 10. 9. To me, WandaVision was a 10 WandaVision was perfect until the ending. The ending sucked. Agreed. The ending took away so much of the weight and gravity of the whole show that it lost everything. Because the
rest of the show was so good.
It was so unique too. And then what happens in the last episode? She snaps her fingers and that whole filter of what made the show so special just magically goes away before your last final episode. Like there's no battle where they're battling through the decades and we've seen these special effects as Wanda throws Agatha and like the frame breaks and now they're in the 50s and it's 50s magic special effects. What they did is they threw away the entire creativity and what made the project feel so unique and special. They get to the last episode and they throw it away. Like I don't see why that makes sense creatively.
They didn't make a smooth transition out of it. Out of some concept.
Have you guys all seen Agatha All Along?
I have not. My mom said it was really good, though. I've heard it's great.
So, for those of us that are still hanging on to some of our theories from WandaVision, it does help. It does scratch that itch that I have. And it does... I don't want to spoil it, but it alludes to stuff that could come back. It didn't answer nearly really anything. But yeah, I mean, it's incredibly frustrating. Why? Yes, I can agree with you. I did not grow up with the X-Men, but I've grown an appreciation for the X-Men movies.
No, I wasn't trying to belittle your X-Men fandom.
First Class
I
is
know.
a heater.
No, 100%.
First Class is such a good movie. First Class is so good. Michael Fassbender is an amazing Magneto.
As we're gonna find out next episode, you're going to see that Iron Man I don't have the same affinity for that everybody else does. I'll save my spiel
perfect,
for that episode, but I still have an appreciation for these movies that I didn't grow up on. I'm looking at it through a different lens. But this is, I agree with you guys, one of the most disrespectful things they've ever done. And they doubled down on it in Agatha all along, and they said that he was just some schizophrenic guy that needed a buck. That is just messed up.
Messed up.
All right.
I thought every little animal that popped up on screen was Mephisto. I just remember every single thing in WandaVision was Mephisto. I would hop on TikTok after the episode, and if something came up on screen, whether it was an animal or a human being, or
the details, darling,
or anything like a painting, it was Mephisto. It was, and you were just waiting, and we were just waiting. But I actually kind of glad it wasn't Mephisto. That was more funny.
Oh, yeah.
The fly on the wall, it was all Mephisto.
I think though this may be the last time I hang on to Mephisto. I think Mephisto is coming in Ironheart. I think that's when we get him.
I know it's kind of Suns.
I know that's kind of a
Midnight Sun's very bad.
That's when it's happening.
Really? Isn't that
all
a
right.
huge character though?
Yeah, I know. All right, we'll go around the table. Thoughts? Is it coming back? Is Ralph Bohner coming back in a future project?
He better not. He better not.
Hope not. It's just another.
He
just
better
like
not.
flipping off the audience. Don't do it.
Wyatt Brody.
I just want Evan.
Better not come
I
back.
don't care what happened. Bring him back.
I want a variant.
Does that
I want
the same character.
I want Ralph Bohner from Earth 2, who happens to have the same powers as Quicksilver.
There you go.
I think, as much as disrespected as we feel, I think Kevin Feige knows that we have been disrespected, and maybe it wasn't the plan they exactly had for Ralph Bohner, but I do think he's coming back in either Doomsday or Secret Wars. I think it's bound to happen. They have to address it. They can't just bring back Evan Peters and say, "Oh, this is Quicksilver from the X-Men movies," and not say a damn thing about Ralph Bohner. They're just too messed up.
The only person that interacted with Ralph Bohner. Oh no, dang it! What's her name? Rambeau did interact with him. Never mind. She would recognize him. That's tricky. Yeah, I know you're right. But besides Rambeau, no one else interacted with him.
It should be
Agatha,
Agatha
should be did after the fact.
But Agatha, do we know if she's going to be in Secret Wars or Doomsday?
You haven't seen Agatha all along, have you?
I actually have no idea how Agatha. She could be dead for all we know,
I'm
Brendan.
not
I
going to
have
say
no
anything
idea.
else. For you guys watching
no
out there
idea.
that have seen Agatha all along, know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll move on.
What a terrible Marvel podcaster am I? I don't even know what's going on in the universe these days, timeline-wise.
Sacred Rewatch.
That's the point. All right. How are we doing on time here? You guys want to do one more, or you want to do a couple more?
Yeah, I can do a couple more.
Whatever we got.
All right, we'll do two more. We'll do two more.
Yeah, sounds good.
We can do two more, and then we can cut out a little bit of that Fantastic Four talk for 20 minutes.
No, we're going to leave it in. This is a fully unscripted podcast. We're just going for it all.
Okay, because I like my Fantastic Four theories. So
all right, cool. This may have the biggest implications of them all. Multiverse incursions. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Charlize Theron's Clea warns Strange that he has caused an incursion. Incursions as, oh my goodness, what's his name from The Office? He explained it to us. Jim. Oh my goodness, he plays Reed Richards.
Mr. Fantastic.
No, I'm blanking on his name.
John Krasinski. John Krasinski.
I keep thinking
John Krasinski. Thank you.
John Krasinski.
I couldn't finish that thought without.
I thought you were talking about. I thought you were saying there's a scene in The Office where Jim Halpert like looks at the camera and explains what an incursion event would be.
Thought you were talking
and I was
about
like, dude, I've
Asian
seen
Jim.
The Office. I don't
Wonder
remember
Vision.
that.
No.
That's funny.
John Krasinski explains to us as Reed Richards, incursions are when universes collide. A huge 2015 Secret Wars comic. Up to this, we have no follow-up. But I have to imagine that this is the reason Fantastic Four ends the way it will. And I assume that this is going to be the reason Doomsday's plot is going to be built around.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we see this again 100%. I think it's either the start of Secret Wars or it's the end credit scene of Fantastic Four. Maybe, what's the character's name?
Do you mean Doomsday or do you mean Secret Wars?
Wait.
Doomsday comes first.
Sorry, Doomsday. I think the start of Doomsday is we see this somehow play out. But I don't know if it's necessarily anything more than her and Strange showing up and being like, yo, you, come with me, we gotta bounce real quick. Or what I also could see happening is, what's the character's name? Charlize Theron's?
Clea.
Maybe this is how the Fantastic Four get out of their universe as it's colliding and failing. Maybe she's like, yo, like we're gonna need you to defeat. Oh wait. So do we think Galactus is tied in with Doomsday as well?
I don't know.
Because I always got.
Go ahead.
Because what I thought was the Fantastic Four's universe would either be eaten by their Earth would either be eaten by Galactus and they'd bounce to a different Earth, or they would somehow their Earth dies during the incursion event, and they have to warn our Earth about the incursion, and that would be Clea getting the Fantastic Four and bringing them to our universe to meet with Doctor Strange to figure out what to do type stuff. So I definitely think we see this play out either the opening of Doomsday or the end credit of Fantastic Four. I think Fantastic Four 100% end credit scene will directly set up Doomsday. Or some sort of time jumping universe stuff.
Yeah, and I think what I was saying about throwing a wrench in this all, we have no Doctor Strange 3 movie announcement, and
I don't think we get one.
Benedict Cumberbatch has not been confirmed to be in Doomsday. So
he will be in Doomsday 100%. I think he's going to die.
Oh, that would be kind of wild.
Well, he's going to get Iron Man. You need an Iron Man. He's going to get Iron Man.
I know, but he hasn't been the anchor of this saga.
I think he was very obviously supposed to be.
The only person I think truly has, and he's only showed up in one movie up to this point, is Tom Holland Spider-Man. That's the only one people care about enough. You know? And there's also some
I definitely think at the start of Secret Wars, it's going to be, Doomsday, it's going to be Tom Holland, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange spearheading the team. Like, whoever the team is fighting Doctor Doom, or whatever the incursion, the battle is in that movie, whoever it may be or whoever it's against, I definitely think those two are, like, in charge, and I definitely see Doctor Strange dying, and that sets up Spider-Man as, all right, you are kind of like the guy of the MCU now, like, you're the leader of the big team up for Secret Wars. Because Spider-Man already just has those ties to the multiverse. Spider-Man and the multiverse go very hand in hand. And as much as I think it may not come off as Doctor Strange was supposed to be the next leader, I think it very obviously that's what their plan was. It was going to be Doctor Strange was going to be the leader of the Avengers, or be the one to bring them all together. And I think he's going to die, whether it has the weight it's supposed to due to bad writing or poor writing throughout the phases. I think they're still going to do that no matter what. It may not carry the weight they may want, but I still think Doctor Strange is probably going to die in Doomsday.
Okay, so I have kind of an off-the-rails question for you guys. Do you think for Secret Wars, the last Avengers movie of Phase 6 and of this saga, do you think Secret Wars has to have a singular death that mimics Iron Man's death in a way for it to have emotional impact?
No, because there's no one. It more of needs, I think, signify a huge change rather than a huge loss. Because we don't really, like what we said about Strange, is we don't have that character to lose like we had Iron Man, our guy from the start. Like it started with Iron Man, Thanos ended with Iron Man. We don't have that character, so I think more or less instead of seeing, a Doctor Strange die or a Hulk die or Thor die, I think instead we see many people either die, retire, disappear, or seemingly get erased from the incursion altogether at the end of Doomsday, and never really come back. I think Doomsday ends similar to Infinity War. It ends poorly. It ends with the incursion. Battle World is what we're left with. It's going to Secret Wars. And I think what I would like to hope, and I guess I always have this wish that Marvel would go a little darker. I hope Secret Wars isn't so much about getting back to the perfect happy ending. It's getting as close as they can, or just healing as much as they can with this new joint Earth you have. You don't go back to this happy Earth 2 with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and all of your friends. Some people are dead. Some people are gone. A lot of people have died. Now we're left with Earth Prime, which has our Fantastic Four, the Avengers who are left, and the X-Men who are left. That's what I think happens in Secret Wars. Or what I would like to hope happen.
Or even too, I kind of like the idea. Maybe there are new sort of okay. I think after the snap, they kind of played up. I think people were too happy to see everyone return. You know what I mean? Like I imagine there were people that hated that some people came back, and I'd like to see maybe some new political divides on Earth Prime, that it's called, that the world has to reorganize now that all these new parties and powers are in place. Right. And then we can just focus on Earth. We don't have to go out into the multiverse. We don't have to go on Earth. We don't have to go on other planets. Agreed. We can have, there are so many great storylines about how the Avengers and the X-Men seem to butt heads all the time, and that the Fantastic Four can't seem to get on the same page as the Avengers. And that may be the next era of Marvel that is really fun to explore, where it's just local to Earth, but it's all these different factions that were on different universes before, and now they're on the same planet, and they got to figure that out.
And that's where you get all these very famous comic runs where Spider-Man spends a very long period of time working with the Fantastic Four under the Future Foundation, when they have the total rebrand. That's a very long comic run for as long as comic runs go. Like that's a long issue series where Spider-Man spends an extended amount of time with the Fantastic Four. He is a big member of the Fantastic Four in the comics. So like that's what would give you the opportunity to see stuff like that.
I would agree. I think that would be a great setup for the next saga, whatever it's going to be referred to. I think that's my biggest worry. As much as I want a good send-off with, these characters in Secret Wars, I am terribly worried about the first movie after Secret Wars. I mean, I don't understand how you have emotional impact after something like this. So, I don't know. I think I know everybody's answer, but let's go around the table. Yes, no, incursions, are they going to matter or come back?
Very much so, yes.
I think so.
Yes is all around. All right, we'll do one more. I'm having a lot of fun with this, by the way.
Yeah, this is good.
I've done, I think,
one more, and then we all got to give our favorite Marvel Easter eggs afterwards. We got to say our favorite to celebrate the holiday.
Yes, absolutely. All right, this is by far the weirdest one. This makes no sense to me to this day. We're going to Eternals. We're talking about Star Fox, the troll. Thanos' brother Star Fox, played by Harry Styles himself, appears with Pip the Troll. He says he'll help the remaining Eternals, then vanishes from the narrative. No Eternal sequel announced, no mention of Star Fox again, and we have not seen a single character from Eternals besides Tiamat in the Indian Ocean.
This is such a fire post-credit scene because it is the highlight of what Brendan said. It was what was doing Marvel wrong. this just blind confidence to go, yeah, we're going to throw these 2 random ass characters who you have no idea about. And then you're going to go on Google and find out that Harry Styles is Thanos' brother. And you're going to be like, what? And then you know what we're going to do? Nope. Not even a whisper. We won't even do a sequel to the movie. How about that? It is so, it's hilarious how crazy, like, it doesn't even sound real. Harry Styles pops up as Thanos' brother with a troll in an MCU post-credit scene, says, "I'll save the day, follow me on this adventure," and then it's over. It's so perfect.
Even the statement alone that Harry Styles is an MCU character is crazy. Absurd.
It is the perfect example of a Phase 4 end credit scene. Like, it is so perfect.
Yeah. No, great.
You gotta laugh. Like, it's so amazing. Oh man, I don't even like. There's just no. We're never seeing it again.
I don't know what to talk about. I really.
I don't know what. I don't know what there's to say. Eternal sucked.
Where does it go?
Like, I don't even know.
What do they do?
Like,
I don't know. And
I don't even know what the internal story.
I want to say too, it's terrible CGI. It just looks weird and.
Like, what happens at the end of that movie?
For that, but
there's a beacon that's calling them somewhere, right? And it's another nameless beacon or something.
No, they get taken
by him, and they just get taken.
No.
They get taken by a celestial.
Well, Cersei gets taken.
Oh, that's right. Cersei gets taken, and then the rest of the Eternals are like in the ship, and then he just shows up.
Cersei gets taken. The rest of them party it up with Harry Styles. Dane Whitman pairs up with Blade that doesn't exist, and that's how the movie ends.
Wow, Dane Whitman won. So sad.
Oh, Pip was played by Patton Oswalt. That's who it was.
Patton Oswalt.
Oh, was he really? Oh, maybe the rat. I don't know where to even go with this one. We all know it's never showing up.
Okay, well, do we? No, let's go around. Let's ask.
You're right. Let's ask.
Brody, we'll start with you.
Someone should be optimistic. Yeah, Brody, be optimistic.
Like, what's gonna happen with it?
Do we think he's coming back ever?
I hope not. But like, I don't know. Like, what?
Probably the only one we hope.
No. What do you say about it? Like, it's you're watching the last scene of Secret Wars, and then the troll comes in, and you're like, wait, if he's here, that means, and then Harry Styles.
Watermelon Sugar starts playing.
Right? Like, what's gonna happen? He is singing to an alternate universe Thanos that it's not the same as it was. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, I don't know what you do with that.
Doesn't he have a crazy power, making? Yeah, his power is he can stimulate people's brain and emotions.
That's what they were thinking, putting that end credit scene.
He's like, yo, girl. He pretty much can make people want to have sex with them and fall in love with them type stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, yeah. What is?
We're talking about the troll, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think coming back.
The odds of this coming back is about the same as the odds that we get Hercules from Love and Thunder back.
That's a good one too.
Well, that's a great segue into the next time we have an episode like this. I could very well see us having an episode similar to this. Maybe next Easter, maybe 4th of July episode. You never know. Thanks, guys, for participating in the conversation. But I think
I wanted everyone to say that. I want everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go around, but let's do Easter eggs that have come through, that have full circle.
Oh, I mean, what if it's just a full on Easter egg with nothing more to it? Like mine.
Okay.
I was gonna say mine's Howard the Duck in the Endgame fight. It's just a cool little thing. He's in 2 frames behind someone's leg, and it's a callback to when he shows up. He's in universe from the end of, I believe, Guardians 2. So it's just a fun. I love Easter egg because everyone's like, Howard the Duck is in the Endgame fight. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not. And then you go and you rewatch it in theaters and you see his little ass walking out there. That's one of my favorites.
Brendan, Brody, you guys are still thinking I can go.
I actually think the one, I don't think they meant for it when they originally did it, but the one that I really, really, really enjoy is in Far From Home taking his small his small presentation in the beginning of Civil War to talk about his trauma, and that worked as a scene in that movie. Him talking about reliving old memories and taking that tech and him making fun of it mid-presentation, which he did in Civil War, and making that the plot line for like the Mysterio origin story, I thought was awesome. And I forget.
I agree. That is really cool.
Called. Wasn't it called Barf?
Barf, yeah.
Yeah, Barf.
And there's the guy, the scientist there, who's the one who gets yelled. He's like, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scrubs. And that guy's like the main guy because he's so upset his feelings got hurt that day. That's a good one. I forgot all about that one. That's a good one. That is a really good one.
Awesome when they were able to make that make sense.
I'm gonna go. In Avengers Endgame, they talk about a earthquake in the ocean off the coast of one of the African countries. I may be headcanoning this, but it has to be Namor. And even at the time, I mean, I don't know what their plan was for Black Panther 2 before Chadwick Boseman died. I have to imagine it was still Namor and...
I think it was. I think they had said that.
What are the people called?
They're not called Atlanteans.
I know. I was. It was a while ago when the movie got announced, but wasn't it pretty like well established early on in like the marketing that it was Namor was in the movie? Like way before we knew anything else. I think we just know Namor was in it.
I want to say so that was always the plan of the movie. They just had to kind of figure out what they were going to do.
Because I think that was such a big reason on this.
Boseman.
I think it was such a big reason to the theory of that being a Namor reference in Infinity War is that we all knew he was coming. Like, we all knew he was going to show up soon.
Well, yeah. And I think the way that line was given, too, because they asked, how are you going to deal with it? And they said, we deal with it by not dealing with it because it's in the ocean. I think at the time, they probably said, oh, the Wakandans do know who... Oh, my goodness, Brendan, did you look it up? I can't think of what...
Do they not know...
Oh, yes.
Do they not know in Wakanda Forever that they exist from the start?
No, not until the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
I think in Endgame, they kind of like hinted that they did know, and then they kind of went back and said, no, they didn't know who they were.
So too.
Which is fine. I think how it's introduced in Wakanda Forever is good. But yeah, I do like that they were alluding at that. Ready?
Is it my favorite Easter egg?
Yeah.
I would say it's not really one that's brought back up, but like I just like seeing like in Peter Parker's school, like the photos of like Howard Stark and Bruce Banner. Like that's how much I need out of an Easter egg. Like, okay, that fits, that makes sense in the universe. That's all like I want from it. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, if it's not an end credit like movie promise, I don't need the movies colliding that much. So I like just like on the mural, like it has Howard Stark or something. It's like that stuff just.
I would get Easter egg.
The principal being one of the Howling Commando's grandsons.
Exactly.
This is an Easter egg that I actually don't know how many of you guys know. So do you guys remember in Civil War when they're in the mall? Sorry, Winter Soldier. When they're in the mall, it's Black Widow and Steve, and they're buying the phone, and there's that one guy selling them the phone with like the long hair and the beard and all that. He's like, "You look familiar." That is actually Noob Master 69 that Korg is playing Fortnite against in Infinity War. And you find that out. This actually might be my favorite Easter egg because at Endgame. You find this out at the end of a Doritos commercial on TV. Because there's a Marvel themed Doritos commercial. And that guy at the end goes, "Oh yeah, I play video games all the time. My gamer tag is Noob Master 69. So I think that's a pretty clever one because you find out by a Doritos TV.
That's got to be in the rewatch. Pretty cool. You got to fit that Doritos commercial out.
Awesome.
Well, we'll have to figure out how this fits in. This group as well, I think is going to be the group that takes on the great debate on where all the other Marvel movies are going to fit in. Specifically, Howard the Duck, which I'm most looking forward to debating.
And Elektra.
Have you guys all gone with your favorite ones?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. That's going to do it for this episode of the Illuminati Takeover of the Sacred Rewatch. We hope you enjoyed jumping all over the timeline with us. Episodes like this with the Illuminati are going to come out a little bit more sporadically, but new recap episodes are coming out every week leading up to Avengers Doomsday. We will catch you very soon with our Captain Marvel and Iron Man recap episode early this week. Wherever you are in the multiverse, thanks for making the Sacred Rewatch part of your journey. See you guys soon.